Hey everybody, my name is Lee Cage. I'm here for another episode of 15 Minutes with Lee. Today we are going to be introducing and interviewing Kasra. Now, Kasra is not your normal consultant. He is a partner at BDO, one of the world's top consulting and accounting firms. He has a steadfast commitment to organizational transformation, business process improvement, and helping organizations optimize and transform the way they do business. So with that being said, I would like to introduce Kasra. Kasra, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I don't know how we ended up being able to do this, but I'm super excited to have you here in Nashville. How have you enjoyed Music City?
Oh, I love this place. It's great. It's been a good. I've been here a few times, but I never explored the city.
Okay.
So it's been nice.
Getting out.
I love the culture. People are nice. Good food. Good music.
Yeah. So, Kasra, you have a impressive background. I did a little bit of research.
Okay.
So 15 years across consulting. Can you share a little bit about your journey, how you arrived at this unique place you're at?
It was a little bit of an accident.
Okay.
I was studying accounting. I was going to become an auditor.
Wow.
I applied for an internship. It was internal audit at KPMG. I thought that was what I was going to do. I went to KPMG, started my internship first day. They're like, well, there's another team here that is a little impressed by your background. Like, we're going to transfer you to this other team. And it was a team that did consulting work for aerospace and defense. So it was more of an industry-focused consulting team. And through that, I was able to do different types of consulting work. It was mergers, it was compliance, process improvement, strategy work. And that kind of led me into more of a post-merger and process improvement and systems technology. So it happened by accident, but through that, I was able to find what I like to do, which is really how to help organizations improve. Transformation, it's an interesting word. It means different things for different people, but really to help improve, and it really comes down to the people. You make their lives better, and then in turn, they are making their organization better. And in the type of work we do, that there is the purpose with some of the organizations we work. I focus on aerospace and defense nonprofits, and they are mission-driven organizations. That there is passion about the end purpose, and being able to help them gives meaning to me and our team as to what we do on a daily basis.
So, I heard you have a CPA, is that right?
Yep.
So as a CPA influenced or accounting influenced consultant, do you think that that's influenced how you operate and maybe how you consider your fiduciary obligation or responsibility as a consultant?
You're more risk averse.
Okay.
You're a bit more conservative when it comes to how to approach different initiatives, because you're always looking at what's the downside, right? How do I mitigate risk? How do I make sure there is a return on investment? There is an actual improvement. So it helps me think through what are the outcomes? What are the KPIs we need to improve? How do you do that? How do you reflect the improvement quantitatively? But also, I think there is probably a bit of a downside to it, where it's you maybe sometimes you're too conservative, and you're looking at it maybe less creatively sometimes. So I try to balance that and always question, is there a way to think outside the box and more, different way of doing things?
So let's just go with this thinking outside of the box. Are there some key challenges that you've seen organizations face where you're really trying to implement digital strategy or transformation initiatives, and how have you seen them overcome those challenges?
I would say the biggest challenge when it comes to transformation, again, the word transformation, you are making a change for better. That whether that's through technology, through change of process, through change of organization operating model, or combination of all. You are making a change or series of changes that's going to impact the people. And change management becomes one of the most important pieces of it. It is underappreciated because it's not
Absolutely.
understood well. And even if it's understood well, when it comes to execution of it, there are different ways to do it and different priorities come in play. So I'd say change management is one of the biggest challenges in any organization, especially organizations that are established in their ways. They've grown and they are mature. It's a harder change than organizations that are more like startup and flat when it comes to how they operate.
So, what advice would you give to a leader who is trying to manage change across a large or complex organization, especially when it involves integrating new technology? And I'm curious, what types of technologies does BDO actually support? I mean, I thought BDO was an accounting firm, right? Only to learn it's a digital, transformation shop. So
Right.
I'm curious about that.
I'd say making the impact assessment of that change the priority, understanding what it means for all the people and all the dependencies that goes with it is needs to be top of the mind and consistently focused on. Usually you see these initiatives start and then that change management becomes a lesser priority.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest, I'd say, advice is focus on that and focus on it consistently. Yes, BDO, historically we've been an accounting firm, but we have a very large advisory consulting arm. We focus on various technology platforms. That includes Workday, Oracle, Info, Salesforce,
Wow.
Microsoft products. We are a systems integrator, but we approach it a little bit different. We try to really bring all the capabilities together as one effort, one team, and make sure that that flows well. And there is big focus with AI right now. We have all sorts of subject matter expertise from HR, source to pay, manufacturing, accounting, you name it. We have subject matters that work hand in hand with our technologists to really bring those solutions and make it fit for purpose for that particular organization. You hear industry best practices. That's a common
Yes.
terminology
The air
used.
quotes. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they like it's great to strive and say, hey, what is the best practice? What do other people do? But in reality, there's no such a thing as industry best practice. You have to define what is best for your organization. You can learn lessons from benchmarks, from peers, and try to incorporate that for your own solution. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be the exact same thing. You really need to focus on what is best for my organization because culturally, every organization is different. Process wise, they have different processes, different target operating models, which impacts how the technology, the use case, that user story needs to be defined.
Wow. In your opinion, what do you think, it means to thrive as an organization in today's economy, diverse ecosystems, diverse cultural backgrounds, diverse political pieces? Like, what does thriving look like for good organizations at this point?
I think it goes back to some of what I mentioned is thinking outside the box. Organizations grow and they become structured and they adopt processes, and a layer of bureaucracy comes into play.
Absolutely.
Right? And those organizations that are able to think outside the box, be flexible, and be nimble and agile are the ones who thrive, because they look at a problem and they can say, hey, I have a set way of solving this problem. Or they can look at it and say, let's think outside the box. Maybe, my regular process is going to take 3 months to address whatever. Or I can think outside the box and possibly reduce that to 3 days. It is possible. We see this all the time. There's a problem, the solution takes months. But if you actually take a step back and say, what am I trying to solve for? You might be able to come up with a solution that's significantly more efficient, but it's very different.
Yeah.
It's very different than anybody else does.
And difference can be scary.
Yes. And that's why organizations, the ones that don't take that risk, tend to stay behind. And the ones that do take that risk and say, you know what, I'm going to try this. It might fail, but it's a fraction of the time. Wow. And you can then learn from that. And that creates that mentality of being agile, being flexible, to really address all sorts of issues, all sorts of, not just issues, but tackling opportunities within that organization. And this goes to how to manage teams as well, in terms of people, and how you build a team, build a practice, build a business. It's people based, and I see this a lot with organizations that have HR policies, and and then you have people who have different needs, and it's like, okay, your needs don't fit our HR policy, right? Well, is there a different way of looking at it and providing that flexibility to your team? So it's a balance that needs to be, managed.
Yeah, you actually took us right to my next question. Obviously, you manage and you have extensive experience managing cross-functional teams. How do you foster collaboration and alignment across different teams and expertise?
I think it starts by creating an environment where you can have everybody share ideas, like the openness to like sharing ideas. Let's put everything on the table. There could be good ones, there could be bad ones, but having that openness to listen and consider what everybody has to say, and thinking through what's the best solution. And we see this all the time. You have leadership structures where there are set ways. It's like we know what the right answer is. That doesn't work well. Rather than the mentality of, let's work really hard to get to the right answer. That works well, because that creates that collaboration, creates that environment where I get to listen to you and really question, okay, does this make sense, right? And you get to question what I say, right? And we all come to table and say, okay, we can all see each other's idea and then decide what's the right answer. So thriving to get to the right answer rather than being set on with certain ways to be like, this is the right predefined answer.
So there are, I'm sure, a ton of folks that will listen to this that are maybe new or emerging in their career. What would you say to an aspiring consultant or even a future leader in the technology space? What are some of the key skills or mindsets that you believe would be important for them to develop as they look at consulting?
And this is just gonna, you hear this all the time these days, with the rise of artificial intelligence. I would say, and we see a lot of applications of it coming to reality these days. Learning how to leverage artificial intelligence to help with your job, help with your anything in life, and like understanding how you could leverage it, I think is probably going to be the biggest skill set.
So we're almost at the end here. At the end, I always like to do what I like to call rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Okay. So we're just going to take 2 minutes, first thing that comes to mind, and just to get to know you, Kasra, versus just you, the consultant Kasra, which I imagine are probably the same person.
All right.
So if your life was a movie, what would it be titled?
Evolution.
Okay. If your life was a book, what would it be called?
That's a good one. I don't have a good answer for you. I would still call it evolution, and the reason behind it is like my life story. It has evolved, right? And it's a long story, but different podcast. Yeah. Change, evolution, and maybe that's part of the transformation, like personal transformation, right?
Yeah. A nice way to tie that back.
Yep.
Salty or sweet?
Salty.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Golf or basketball?
Golf.
Now, you probably noticed I stayed away from baseball because the Pope, recently became the Pope.
Yep.
One of the first questions they asked, like, are you a Cubs or a White Sox guy? So I'm trying to avoid any of those things, but okay, very, very good. All right, Kasra, we're at the end of our session. Are there any key takeaways that you would like to leave, nuggets, before we wrap up?
No, I appreciate everything you do. I appreciate this podcast, all the insights you share. Look forward to the next one.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, that has been our 15 minutes. In the words of Tabitha Brown, I hope you have the most amazing day. But even if you can't, don't you dare go messing up nobody else's. See y'all.
That was good.
Yeah, you did great.